Come on, let's go.
Hello everybody, welcome to the MaffmanJones movie channel once again. I'm your host, as always, the Yankees, when they got into the World Series. Ha ha ha! They didn't. We are here today to discuss Halloween Ends. But before I do that, we have a sponsor. Today's sponsor is Movie Palette. Now, I have mine hanging up on the wall right behind me. This is for the movie Lilo and Stitch. And if you don't know what Movie Palette is, it's basically a team of artists. They come together and they basically create a chronological palette that showcases the entire movie from beginning to end, and they basically designate one color to every single scene, and they either lengthen the stripe or they shorten the stripe based on how long or short a scene is. And this is basically the entire movie condensed down to colors. It kind of reminds me of the dimension, the fifth or sixth dimension from Interstellar, when Matthew McConaughey is stuck and trying to get to his daughter, Murph! In my opinion, it's a really cool icebreaker. Somebody who doesn't know isn't going to come in here and go, oh, that's from a movie. No, I don't think people really understand, but I think it's a really intriguing way of showcasing the art form of movies on your wall. And if you want to have one on your wall, if you go to moviepalette.com and use the discount code MaffmanJones15, I'll display it right there, MaffmanJones15, you'll get 50% off your order. The variety of movies that you can choose from is vast. I was looking through it the other day, and there are so many movies on there, so one of your favorite movies is bound to be on there somewhere. So if you do want to go buy your own movie palette, go to www.moviepalette.com, and then when you check out, use discount code MaffmanJones15 to get 50% off your order. On to the review. So Halloween Ends is the final movie in this new Halloween trilogy where, if you don't know, they basically ignored everything after the very first movie from 1978, directed by John Carpenter, who returns here to do the music once again like he did for the other two new movies. I took a poll on my Instagram to either talk about this or Black Adam. This one, obviously. But Black Adam, it was aight. It was okay. Dwayne Johnson got to make his passion project. Good for him. Am I going to remember it? I don't think I'm going to. Anyway, Michael Myers. I'm not going to go into the plot details, but I will say what basically the marketing said is that, well, this movie takes place a couple years after Halloween Kills, which in that movie there was a giant massacre. A bunch of townsfolk got murdered by Michael Myers. Settled down a little bit, but now his shadow, the Michael Myers shadow, still looms over the town. Bad stuff still be happening. We have a new character introduced in this movie named Corey Cunningham, played by Rowan Campbell, who I haven't seen in anything else before this movie, but I'll get to him in a little bit. And you still have Laurie Strode and her granddaughter, Allison, played respectively by Jamie Lee Curtis and Andy Matichak, still living in Haddonfield for some reason. I don't know. They bought a house, life is going okay, but Michael Myers is still out there and still has a bone to pick with Laurie Strode. So I made a TikTok about this movie a little while ago. If you want to follow me on TikTok, go ahead. But I was more interested in talking about Halloween Ends of these two movies anyway. I'm glad it ended up going this way because it's been getting polarizing, ostracizing reactions, but also, like, on that bad end of the scale, people are downright hating this movie. Just wanting it to be burnt in a trash bin where it can go to hell and not come back forever and ever. I had a little bit of an awareness going in that it had some crazy bad reviews. So I was like, well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I really enjoyed Halloween Kills, even though it was not good when it comes to plot and script. But I'll get into it again, but I feel like Halloween is not unfamiliar with the weird / bad sequels, but whatever. So I went into this with an open mind, and I'm like, alright, well, I'm either gonna think this is like a chaotic mess that's not in my taste, or I'm gonna love it. And I don't love it, but I really like it.
Cut his fucking head off!
The story that they market and present to you in trailers is not what the actual movie is. And the major focus of this film is on this Corey character. This movie is very much, it reminded me a lot of like a Stephen King novel. It had a lot of elements of it. The way it shows how people who you don't think could go one way could turn sour, and how tragic and sad it is. But But the movie is also, it is a Michael Myers movie, and there are Michael Myers kills, and there are some grueling moments, really surprising moments. The opening scene of the movie is like, completely takes you off guard. It kind of makes you think one thing's going to happen and something else happens, but it's a really effective opening scene. And from there, I was like, I mean, for me, I was like, shit, like, I'm down. And then it kind of, the movie slows down after that, and it kind of becomes like a character piece for this Corey character. That's all I'm going to say without spoiling the movie. I liked where it went. Some of the scenes didn't really work the way they could have. The execution wasn't the best. I think David Gordon Green, the director, and Danny McBride, who they wrote this movie too. He directed, but they both co-wrote it with a couple other writers. This one, they had 4 writers here. I see what they were going for, and I think it works for the most part. A couple scenes are a little awkward, the way they're paced, the way they're presented. But it is a movie that's trying to do a couple different things. It's trying to have its cake and eat it too. It's trying to present a lot of themes and a lot of elements that don't always coalesce into a complete package. I think they horseshoe in things that you want and expect from a Halloween movie. I know the marketing said the final battle between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, but if we're gonna be honest here, if I'm gonna be honest, which I always am, we got that fight in 2018. The fact that they had to do the same thing again in this one, it's like, it kind of feels like we're treading on old ground. It's repetitive. And that's why I was into the story they were telling with this new movie with Corey, because it does elevate a lot of what made the first movie from John Carpenter great. Michael Myers may have been like the parasite of evil that started the whole thing, but the town decided just to fall into the darkness. And it's like a poison apple that just dies slowly. I thought it was a really cool way of showing that concept. And I really like that Corey character. I think what they do with him, for the most part, I was super down with. I think the conclusion of his character arc wasn't good. What I really want to get at here is that, so we had Halloween 1978, and even though these movies chose to ignore everything up until this point, which includes Halloween 2, Halloween 3, Halloween 4, 5, Curse of Michael Myers, Resurrection, H2O, the Rob Zombie movies, like all those, like it just ignores all that. But I'm a little perplexed by people being mad or angry at this movie, because we have all those. If you want to go and watch a Michael Myers slasher that just basically that's all it is, there are quite a few movies that do that. But also at the same time, this franchise has deviated and done weird different things. Halloween 3, this is a minority opinion, I know, but it's my second favorite Halloween movie. So that probably makes more sense to you now why I really like this movie, because I like when these franchises that have been around for this one anyway, like over 40 years, when they do something different. Maybe most other people want to see just Michael Myers walking around, just cruising around town, being creepy and killing people. We've seen that a bunch of times. Even if it doesn't always work, and for a lot of people it seems like it failed overall, I admire the ambition. And then going back to how uneven and wacky this franchise has been, even in this enclosed trilogy that we got from 2018 to 2022, I think this trilogy does encapsulate what the Halloween franchise has been all about since 1978. You got your traditional slasher movie. That's the 2018 movie. You got your wacky, crazy, going over the top with the kills and stuff kind of movie with Halloween Kills. And then you have the outlier, the weirdo that most people don't like, but then you have people who really, really respect the craft and love it too, like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch with Halloween Ends. I think you get all that in this trilogy, and I think, honestly, saying it out loud, that, like, I just realized that while talking about this movie, I think that's sick. And moving on beyond that, I think the technical craft of this movie is great. I think John Carpenter's soundtrack bops. I think Jamie Lee Curtis, Andy Matichak, this new guy Campbell, who plays Corey, all the main actors in this movie do a really good job. And then the kills, when we do get those murders, they are gruesome. They're not Terrifier 2 gruesome, which I could talk about that another day. Like, holy shit, that movie. But in the context of a Halloween sequel, especially this last one where kills had some really insane kills, when we do build up, this movie does a great job, by the way, of building up to those murders, when we finally get to those kills, I think some of them are amazing. I think the biggest flaw is arguably whether or not you roll with the plot that they decide to go with in this movie. And ultimately, I think the ending of this movie is a little forced, because I feel like they were trying, again, to please both audiences, people who want Michael Myers and people who want something different, or maybe were desiring something different, and they couldn't fully commit to just one idea, because I don't know if the studios were like, no, you can't do that, or if they wanted to have both sides. I don't know what the full story is there. After the ending of this movie, I don't know where they're going to go, because I'm sure they're going to make another one, but I hope they lean more into the plot elements they introduced in this movie, because I think that makes the lore of Haddonfield more interesting, way more interesting than it would have been if it was just what people expected this movie to be. But those are my spoiler-free thoughts on Halloween Ends. I want to know what you guys thought of it. Let me know in the comments down below. Where do you fall here? But I really talk down in the comments down below. I want to have a discussion, because this is one of those movies that came out in the year 2022 that will create conversations, like really fun ones. If you haven't also already, you could like, you could subscribe, and if you want to get a notification every time I make a new vid, you could ring that bell also. Hopefully it's not too long when I make a new review, but that bell certainly is the best way to find out when a new video comes out on this channel. Thank you guys again very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a safe and happy Halloween. Hope if you're dressing up or going out as a party, I hope you have a great time. And yeah, get ready for November, the month of thanks. Yeah. I'll see you guys soon. Love y'all. Peace out. Bye-bye.